Thought that I would do a video because I have been ranting and raving about it to my friends and family about how simple it is and how much better it is than Carryout. So it's so good. It's so much less greasy, and it's the best. And it's a lot cheaper than Carryout. The last time that we got Carryout from our local pizza place, we got a large, like deluxe, it was $30. So you can make this for a lot less than $30. So I'm going to share this recipe, and it's super simple. I just started learning more about making bread and making dough homemade, and it's so easy. It really is. It's not as difficult as I thought that it was, and if I can do it, anybody can do it for sure. I just recently got a new KitchenAid mixer for Christmas. Thank you, Mom. And with this, it makes it so simple. So I'm gonna take you along for this recipe and show you the finished product, which looks amazing. So I hope you like this video, and I hope that this inspires you to go ahead and make your own homemade pizza. Much cheaper, much healthier, and it will feed an army, this one recipe. So here we go. All right, so first of all, in my bowl, I have 3 cups of bread flour. In this little cup, I have 3 teaspoons of instant yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar that I'm gonna add. Then I need 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I need 1.25 cup of warm water. And this is going to activate your yeast. And then what I'm going to do is lower my mixer. And I'm just going to mix it all together. Just turn it on stir until it mixes and combines. All right, I'm going to turn it off, and then I just want to check it. It seems pretty good to me. So you see how it's not sticking to my fingers? That's about how I want it. Now, if it were sticking to my fingers, I might add just a tablespoon of flour and go from there. So now that it's all combined, I am going to knead this for 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn my mixer on level 2 and set my timer for 5 minutes. So this is going to knead our dough and develop all that gluten. All right, our dough has been kneading for 5 minutes. And now, going to lift the KitchenAid up, get the dough off of the hook. Pop this hook off so we can see a little easier. And look at this dough, it's so yummy. Oh, I love it. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the bowl. And then kind of roll this dough ball around in the olive oil to get it moist all over. This is going to keep it moist while we let it rest for another 5 minutes. So got it covered in oil, and then just throw a hand towel over it and start my timer again for 5 minutes while we let it rest. All right, we're back. The dough has been resting for 5 minutes, and I have my sheet pan out. I know I'll probably get some comments on how dirty my sheet pan is, but it's clean. I use it. It's seasoned. So this sheet pan is a 17.25 by 11.5 inch, 1 inch deep, and this is about perfect for what I like my crust to be, pretty thick. You can also use like 2 smaller pans and spread it out, which would make your crust a little thinner. So I'm gonna drizzle some olive oil on the bottom of the pan. wipe it around to cover the bottom and the edges here. Okay, now we'll take our beautiful dough. Take my ring off. Our beautiful dough. Oh, it's risen and it's fluffy and it'll deflate it a little bit here. Oh, it's so pretty. It's perfect. All right, so now we're going to put it down and just use our hands to work it around the pan. So let me mention while I am spreading this dough that this recipe is from Noreens Kitchen. I'll leave the link in the comments below. It is actually a breadstick recipe that she made for a side to spaghetti. And the first time I made it, I did make breadsticks and they were great. So with this, I prefer to just make the sauce on the side and then cut it into sticks and dip my pizza sticks in the sauce. But you can certainly add sauce to the pizza. All right, now what I like to do is brush a little more olive oil onto the top of the dough so that some seasonings that I want to add will stick nicely and will also keep the dough nice and moist. All right, there we go. And it will bake into the pan a little bit, so you don't have to make it exactly perfect. All right, wipe my hands off here. Then again, I'm going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on the top. Use my silicone brush to spread it out. Then at this point you can add whatever you like. Whatever seasonings you like. Or you don't have to add any. I like to use some garlic powder, so I start at one end and just sprinkle it across. Some onion powder, again, start at one end, sprinkle it across. And then, of course, Italian seasoning. You could also add some red pepper flakes. I'm not feeling red pepper flakes today, so I'm not going to add any spice. It smells so good. Okay, now my oven's preheated. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now what I like to do is add more cheese slices than shredded cheese. So I have these slices of mozzarella that I'm going to add and alternate with slices of provolone. I'm adding today to my pizza is some turkey pepperoni. Then we are also going to add some mushrooms today. You can add green pepper, you can add some onion. I would have added some onion if I felt like cutting one up, but I don't, and I didn't have any already cut up in the fridge, so we are foregoing the onion today. Now, I like to top it with some Parmesan cheese. this browns up nicely in the oven. And I also like to top it with some shredded mozzarella to keep those toppings in place. Not too much, just enough for it to cover the toppings a little bit so that they stay in place when you're eating it. All right, then I will top it with a little more Italian seasoning. And then into the oven it goes for 15 or 20 minutes. I tend to lean towards 20 minutes. So I'll get this in the oven and then I'll bring you back and show you how I make my marinara dipping sauce for this pizza. All right, I'm back. So I'm gonna make some marinara sauce for dipping these pizza sticks in. So I just added a can of no salt added diced tomatoes to my pot. And I'm going to use my immersion blender to puree these a little thinner than what they are. So I'm going to turn on the heat low, and I'm going to crush these up a little further. And add a can of tomato paste. Just depends on how thick or thin you want it. At this point, you can add whatever seasonings you would like. I add the same seasonings that I put on top of the pizza. So I'll add probably about maybe 1.5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. A teaspoon of garlic powder. A teaspoon of onion powder. I like onion powder, I don't know. And then of course I'm going to mix this up and let it heat through and let everything marry together. And then I'll give it a taste test and see if it needs anything else. All right, here we go. I'm going to pop this out. Oh, goodness. You don't have to. You can leave it in the pan. It's just easier for me to cut this way, I have found. Come on. Oh my goodness. So good. All right, so like I said, there's no sauce on here, and I like to cut it into sticks and dip it in sauce. Let me pull up a chair and have lunch. All right, I'm gonna do a taste test even though I'm gonna scald my mouth. Nope, not too hot. I love it. It's so much better than Carryout, in my opinion. I love thick crust. Well, I love all pizza, but if I get to choose, I always choose thick crust. So there you have it. 45 minutes, I would say, from start to finish. 45 minutes. I hope you use this recipe and make your own pizza, because it's so good and so easy. And the best part about it is you can manipulate what you put in it, so you know exactly what's going into it. So thank you for watching, and I'm gonna eat lunch. Alrighty, thanks. Bye bye.